T. Thank you for checking out this episode review of The Chi. And before we get into it, I just want to say that I think the writing on this series is excellent. I haven't seen a series successfully capture the intimate details of so many characters. So I gotta tip my hat off to the writers on that. The writing is excellent. So anyway, this episode was called A Leg Up. So my initial thoughts on that was we all could use a leg up, especially as black people. Nobody is going to look out for us except for us, most of the time anyway. But I think there is a difference between getting a leg up, getting a little support, little help, and just flat out stealing. At the end of the day, it is all cheating. So I guess all is fair. I don't know. Anyways, let's get into this review. I want to talk about Ronnie, Cuda Brown. I owe Ronnie an apology. I owe him an apology. So in this episode, Ronnie is cleaning up the house across the street. He's trying to make a little money to replace his grandmother's television. Later on in the episode, he finds a picture of himself when he was 10 years old. And Ronnie later explains to Jada that the guy who lived across the street, Mr. Bennett, is his biological father. The kicker to all of this is that Ronnie is a product of an affair. Mr. Bennett had an entire family living across the street. And Ronnie and his mother were the secret. And to top that all off, his grandmother doesn't want him to have any kind of communication with his father. I can only imagine the amount of rejection, trauma, humiliation, embarrassment, anger that Ronnie has festering in his spirit. Day after day after day, he had to see his father interacting with his real family, never acknowledging him, taking better care of the lawn than he did his own son, knowing that his mother was a mistress. And he learned to cope with that with alcohol. Ronnie doesn't do well with rejection. Now it's all starting to make sense. When Ronnie was rejected from the police force, how did he cope? Alcohol. And I think this was around the 70s and 80s. Black people wasn't going to counseling all like that. We ain't doing it now, truth be told, but especially back then. Alcohol was his coping mechanism. Is it any excuse for ruining his life? No. But you know, judge not lest you be judged. It's starting to make sense now. The only good thing that did come out of Ronnie's life was the fact that he did try to pour into Jake what he didn't get from his own father. I wish he was able to focus a little more of that attention in his own life. But it is what it is. Ronnie, I owe you an apology. Still no excuse for messing up your life, but I apologize. I apologize. So let's talk a little bit about Brandon. Poe Brandon. Brandon is a finalist at the Aftertaste. And in this competition, the judge decided that the contestants have to use a mystery ingredient. Goat meat. Guess who used to work at Girl and the Goat? Oh, Brandon. So in that respect, he does get a leg up. However, Dan also is in the competition. A guy that Brandon used to work for. And Brandon is assuming that Dan has some kind of connection with the judges. A leg up. Nobody is going to reject their advantages or their privileges. You know? So later on in the competition, Dan tries to cast doubt in Brandon's mind. He tells him that he's a token. They just had to have at least one black face in the competition. How often do we see that? A lot of times, people who aren't up to par, aren't as talented, try to cast doubt in the people that are actually talented. It's like they have an inferiority complex that they're trying to hide with superiority. A lot of racial undertones right there. With all of that being said, Dan wins the competition only because he stole one of Brandon's recipes. The competition was snatched right up from underneath Brandon. There's a difference between getting the leg up and flat out stealing. Kind of like colonization. You know, it was a lot of racial stuff going on. A lot of racial undertones. So I know Brandon is just about ready to throw his hands up. He's trying to do things the right way, but he just can't win. And at this point, it's no wonder why Douda was able to just reel Brandon right on in, like a fish. Brandon is having a lot of frustration. He's having those entrepreneurial issues. He doesn't have the funds. And like Douda said, the game really is rigged against black men. Black people for that matter. I still hope Brandon don't fall for it. I really don't. So let's talk about Miss Jerrica. The community has decided to protest Miss Brown, so they all outside her house with picket signs and chanting and whatnot. And Jerrica figures it out. Mrs. Brown is not listed as the owner of the condos, and the people surely didn't know where she lived. So the alderman must have been the one responsible for letting the community know about all of this. Alderman is busting her chops. But, you know, Jerrica, she ain't taking no shit on this one. She told Alderman, don't fuck with me. I know that's right. Ain't nothing like a young black woman coming into her own and letting the motherfucker know. Okay? But at the end of the day, she does have to play the politics game. So her and the alderman make a deal. She pays him $50K and the protesters go away. Fair exchange ain't robbery. So later on in the episode, Jerrica has a little kickback at her and Brandon's apartment. And her friends are real buppy-ish, real uppity. One of her friends mentions that he's going to be going to Howard's business school because his parents have dropped $500K as a donation. Real ironic that he said that since we had Lori McLaughlin, who recently was indicted for giving USC a donation. And that lets you know, black, white, whatever color you are, most of the time we would all be doing the same little shady things to get a leg up if we had the money. So Jerrica's other friend, Crazy Courtney, is there, drunk as hell, running her damn mouth. And she basically says out loud that the only reason that Jerrica is with Brandon is for that thug ass dick. You was out of order. She was just like a habitual line stepper. She was talking about how Brandon ain't have no damn money. Jerrica got her own. She was doing way too much. So Brandon wasn't having that shit. He kicked all they asses out, as he should have. If Crazy Courtney can speak on something as personal as finances and his penis, what else are y'all talking about behind my back? So Brandon had every right to be a little salty with Jerrica. I saw this coming though. Jerrica and Brandon come from two different worlds, and even though the love is there, Occasionally, these type of situations, arguments, disagreements are going to come up just based off of the class difference. Brandon isn't always going to fit in with Jerrica's crowd, nor would Jerrica fit in with Brandon's crowd. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, if the love is there, they'll see their way through it all. I hope they do, because they are a cute little couple. Good luck. So let's talk a little bit about Emmett, baby boy. Emmett is still going through it. He is sleeping in the taco truck because he don't want to go home to his crazy ass daddy. Hey, we also find out that since Tiff spilled the beans about receiving child support, the other baby mamas want to get it too, and they all cool now, which I know that's probably one of Emmett's biggest fear, all his baby mamas scheming and plotting together. So he has a couple choices here. His father said, hey, you can either go down to the child support office and say you're unemployed, or you can try to strike a deal with your baby mamas. Basically just keeping it real with them. I'm not working right now, I'm just hustling here and there. Can y'all please just accept what I have to give? So later on in the episode, they all meet up for coffee. The baby mamas is a united front at this point, and Emmett is just keeping it real with them, like, look, this is what I have. Do y'all accept it or no? And they like, hell no. We all got to work multiple jobs to make ends meet. You need to get your ass out there and do the same. Emmett told him it wasn't happening. So Tiffany is like, well, let's just go back to the original agreement where I'm the only one who receives child support. She then threw them all up underneath the bus. So they get to arguing, and in the midst of all of that, Emmett sneaks out the back door. Hey, if it's too hot, get your ass out the kitchen. So later on in the episode, Emmett makes it happen. He sells his most prized possessions, his sneakers. And he's able to give his baby mamas $400 each. They gonna make a man out of him yet. I'm rooting for you, Emmett. I'm rooting for you. So let's talk about Kevin, Jake, and Papa. They're taking standardized tests. Somehow or another, the booklet and the answer key ends up online. The first person that the faculty looks to is Jake. Understandable. I know he has been having some trouble at school, and I'm sure that they know he runs with a gang. So it's understandable. I hate to say that, but sometimes who you associate yourself with can lead you into some bad situations. It is what it is. In addition to that, Jake was the last one seen with the booklet. So it really don't look good for Jake. And even Kevin is giving him the side eye, like, you probably did take it. We later find out that it was someone from the Wild Boys that took the test. Kevin comes over to Jake's house to apologize. So Jake says, I understand. They see me the way that they see me. And a lot can be said about that statement. It's one thing to have a sketchy past and have people be leery of you, but it's another thing altogether for people to still have that same view of you just because of who you're associated with. And I think as black people, we have to deal with that a lot. We aren't viewed as individuals. If one black person does something negative, all of us have done something negative, and we're supposed to be treated as such. The thing about Jake is, I wonder if he realizes that he should not live up to their expectations. Probably not. Probably not. So later on, Kevin makes his way over to Maisha's party, brings her a gift, and kisses her on the cheek. I knew they was crushing on each other. I knew that they was crushing. I think that's a good look though. Maisha is smart, and we find out that Kevin is actually super smart as well. I love seeing that, by the way. I love seeing young, gifted, and black people. I just love it. The thing that had me side-eyeing Kevin was the fact that when he was offered an opportunity to attend this academy, to be challenged, he threw it away. Maybe he doesn't want to be different. I don't think he realizes that he's probably throwing away one of the best opportunities of his life so he can hang out with his homeboys. Come on, Kevin. I expect better from you. I really do. So lastly, let's talk about Miss Keisha. Keisha is meeting up with some grown-ass man that's giving us R. Kelly vibes. Damn predator. Damn predator. And this man knows exactly what he is doing. He's doing things that he knows a grown woman would have no damn interest in. Buying her little trinkets and buying her little brother's shoes. They crafty. They crafty. So at the end of the episode, we find out that this man is her track coach. A lot to be said there. Most of the time, people think that the predators are the people that's getting ready to jump out the bushes. But most times, it's the pastor, it's the teacher, it's the track coach, it's the Boy Scout leader. Those are the people that you gotta watch for because they spend the most time alone with your child. Ah, Lord, I hope Keisha wake up. I really do. So that was The Chi. Overall, good episode. Excellent writing. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments. Subscribe if you like the content, and I will see you next time. Peace.